Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. I'm going to take you through all the books that I read this year. I read, I think, 30 books this year, so I'm actually quite happy with how much I read. I definitely had some reading slumps and some book hangovers this year, but I did read some really great books, so I'm not shocked or surprised that I had those moments or those moods. I'm not going to explain the book. I'm just sort of going to say how the book made me feel, if I would recommend it, and yeah, if I think you should read it or not, because there are some books that I did not enjoy this year, so I'll be completely honest and truthful. Let's hydrate before we start the last of the sugar before the new year begins. This is so sad. I'm gonna have like 10 cokes today just to get it out of the system. Oh my gosh, you've got to love that sound. I'm gonna need that. Let's start talking about these books. I'm going to start with the Throne of Glass series, which is up there. I'm not taking that down. But I read 4 books from Throne of Glass, and that was The Queen of Shadows, Tower of Dawn, Empire of Storms, and The Kingdom of Ash. Long story short, I loved it. I loved it. I struggled a lot with the beginning of Throne of Glass, but by the time I got to Queen of Shadows, I was absolutely engrossed in these stories, in Aelin, in Dorian, in everyone, Manon. I absolutely adored this book. I'm still in absolute awe of how we got from Throne of Glass all the way to Kingdom of Ash. I think it's absolutely amazing storytelling, world building. It just did genuinely grip me. I think even in the books that I didn't enjoy the most at the time when I read them, the last 200 pages would always suck me in. Either way, it can be a bit of a slog at the beginning, but by the end, oh my goodness, absolutely amazing. I adore so many of the characters. I adore Manon and the 7, is it 7 of them or 6? I'm not sure, but I absolutely adore Manon. I adore Dorian, Aelin. I don't know if there's anyone that can compare to Aelin. I'm obsessed with Aelin. Queen of Shadows, I don't really remember much, but I know that is when I was like, I've got to keep going. Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms I did do as the tandem read, and I think that's an amazing experience to be able to read it. If you start to get bored, you know that you're going to be switching over to the other book soon, and it just keeps it going, knowing you learn things, and then as you're reading another one of the books, you're like, they need to know this now. If I see a quote from Throne of Glass on Instagram or wherever, immediately it evokes emotion out of me. This book has so much quotes. It had so much emotion for me. Honestly, after you read it, anytime you see a quote from Throne of Glass, you will literally be like, the emotions, they come flooding back, honey. The emotions come flooding right back. Probably wasn't the smartest downing so many gulps of Coke, because now it's like I'm gassy. Moving on, I think I'll stick to just the fantasy at the moment, and then we'll move into romance, because this year was definitely fantasy and romance. I would love to do my romance reads after reading a fantasy book. I'd go to a romance to sort of refresh my palette. Another series that I completed, and this is like a series that I don't shut up about. Penn is my girl. Like, Penn is my girl. She really gave us what needed to be given in Spark of the Everflame Glow and Heat of the Everflame. I loved the writing. Again, the story building in this, the world building was amazing. Luther, that's my man. Luther is my man. I love Luther down. DM, she got on my nerves, but by the end of it, like, I love DM and I hold her dearly to my heart. And in this, if you liked Throne of Glass, I think you will really like the Heat of the Everflame series. It moves really fast paced and it's very witty in the book as well. There were so many times where I laughed because I thought it was funny, and the tension and everything is just great to see, and to see that building and the slow burns that you get in it as well. DM starts off really confused and, if I'm honest, really annoying as she's finding herself and she's accepting herself and really just understanding who she is. You start to see that she's becoming this really strong woman. I don't want to spoil it just in case anyone hasn't read it, but you see her becoming really strong, and she just really reminds me of Aelin. So I'm really excited for Burn of the Everflame to come out next year, to see more of DM's development and Luthar and just everything. But this for me was a 5-star series. I was hooked from the very first book all the way to the end, and I was never bored of it. I highly recommend this to anyone if you like slow burns, if you like a good tension between two people. Again, in this, the quotables, the yearning. No, guys, stop. There's just, I love it. Read it. This was one of my favourite reads this year. What number are we on now for books? These were books 5, 6, 7. Girl, we got some time. Moving on to another series that I actually did really like, and I think this one's controversial. As I was reading it, I knew that a lot of people did not like it, but personally, I was obsessed. And it is Our Powerless, Reckless and Fearless by Lauren Roberts. Kai. One word, Kai. That is, the lover boy of the century. I was obsessed with Kai. The yearning in this book had me hooked. I read Reckless in a matter of hours, I feel like. The back and forth between Kai and Payden was just truly, it was one for the books, for real. I loved it so much. I loved the tension between them, and I just, even without having spice in the books, I don't think there's any spice in this. If they do get a little bit freaky, it's not in detail, it's just, you know that they've done whatever they've done and you're moving forward. Regardless of not having the freaky deaky stuff, I loved it. This is one that I would definitely recommend for like my lover girls, 100%. Or if you just want to see a guy that's just down bad for a girl so early on, like, I loved it. By the time we did get to, is it Fearless? Yeah, Fearless. I feel like we was losing the plot a little bit. I think that was starting, it felt like things were just being thrown together to sort of wrap up this series, and I think that for me was a bit of a letdown. The revelations were interesting, but I do feel like maybe if it was in a 4th book, or there was a 4th book, so it could have had some time to sort of develop a bit more. I think that was the downfall of it for me. I would still recommend it. I just saw it more as looking a bit more on just like the romance side of it, more so than the fantasy sort of side of it. So I only have one book of this one because I did borrow the other 2 from somebody at work. Fourth Wing. I really liked Fourth Wing, if I'm honest. I enjoyed this one the most. This is our academia vibe. This is where we start to get some academia going on, where we are in the, not the healers quadrant, I don't know, but we've got our dragons, we've got our griffins, we've got Xaden. We got Xaden. Oh, that was my man, for real. Xaden, I love you, for real. We've got Xaden, we've got Violet. There's just a lot that goes on in this book. Again, I think this one was extremely fast paced, which I love. I love a book that just throws you into it. I do think it's important to let an author develop the story, but the ones where we're just like straight into it and it's like, girl, figure it as we go along, figure it out along the way. I do really love it. Keeps me engaged in the story. I do feel like Fourth Wing is another one where it feels like the plot is being lost, a bit like the Powerless, Fearless series. In Fourth Wing, I loved it. I was able to keep up. It was amazing. I love to see Violet go against all odds, like this small little frail, fragile girl just going against all odds, as is the typical thing that seems to happen in these fantasy books. I would love to read a fantasy book where things don't just work out in the main character's favour. But yeah, this is really nice. You get to see her friendships growing with the people that she meets along the way, and she's just a target. You see her relationship with her mum. There's loads of revelations that come out about her brother, and you guys should have read it by now, but about her brother. But there's just loads that goes on in this book. I think it's Iron Flame that's next. By then, I was still really intrigued because at the end of, is it at the end of this? No, it's not the end of this one. It's iron flame where something huge happens, and it's like, I remember being like, what the F? Like, what in the world is going on? What is happening? We see Xaden and Violet, the enemies to lovers trope is in full throttle, and now he's just absolutely enamored by her. And I'm just obsessed with it. It's really spicy. It is really, really spicy. Like, they go at it like rabbits, these two. It's a great series overall, but I do feel like there's areas where I was just like, how did we get here? I think it's definitely the last one, which I can't remember the name. I started to feel like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I was confused for the majority of it. All the different areas it was going to, I'm just going to say the different counties that we was going to, I was starting to get a bit confused. But I think by the end of it, I was like, right, okay. I think that there's loads of great theories for this book, so I'd actually love to hear anyone's theories. I think the next one is going to be really good and really interesting. I'm not sure when that comes out, but I do feel like we'll get some clarification on what's going on. The next series is The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I've only read this one out of the series. I'm currently on the second book to this. I've never watched Hunger Games, but it's that Hunger Games vibe where there's games to survive the Kajari, I think it's called. And you have, I don't know how I've forgotten her name, and I'm reading the book with her name in it. Araya is a human. I don't know what she is. She's so confusing, and she's surrounded by vampires. So if you like a book with vampires, this is the one. And she meets Rain, and they sort of have a pact looking out for each other and helping each other throughout the games. But only one person can survive the Kajari. So essentially, she has to, either both of them will at the end have to kill one or the other, even though they start to form that really deep bond. But that, again, I did enjoy, but I didn't enjoy it a lot though. But I did say, after I finished it, I did say that, right, maybe the second book I'll start to get into it a bit more. The second book I am enjoying, but I read this at the start of the year, and it's now the end of the year that I'm reading the second book, so I'm struggling a lot with this series. But I think it's based on losing momentum and trying to pick that back up and trying to remember the book when it's been months since I've read it. I do remember being able to get through The Serpent and the Wings of Night quite quickly. I understood what was going on throughout it, and again, even with it, I was very much like sometimes like reactive to it. So yeah, I do think it was a good book overall, but it just probably did not hit into a 5-star series for me. Probably more of a 4-star. Once I get through it, I'm not going to rate it because I've not got through it. I probably would still recommend it. We have 2 more of our fantasy books. So first one that I'm going to go through is Zodiac Academy. So Zodiac Academy, this was just truly a bundle of fun, if I'm absolutely honest. I had a book slump, and I've been really nostalgic about school, and this sort of just brought me back because they're in a school, so it's like academia again. It does have that bullying trope sort of thing, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't really like that, but the story is good, the plot is good, the writing isn't the best. I had fun reading this. This was such an easy read for me. I was able to breeze through it. Once we got into the swing of things, I was like, right, okay, I'm down with it. But I would recommend, if you just want a nice, quick, easy book with some magic and some powers, read this. And then the last of my fantasy is the Holly Black Folk of Air trilogy. So you've got your Cruel Prince, Wicked King, and Queen of Nothing. I've not read Queen of Nothing. I've only read Cruel Prince and the Wicked King. I saw so many people saying about it being romantasy, but to me, I really wouldn't class it as that. I think it is very much political, and then you have a bit of romance flung in there, and even this is like confusing me and toxic sort of love that we're seeing in there. But I will have to do the last book. Maybe that's where everyone's getting that from. I did like this, but also like I wasn't too fussed about it. Like I wasn't, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get home and read my book. I'm so excited to pick back up The Cruel Prince. I didn't have that. I think I'm sort of just reading it now just to finish the series and not put it in a DNF category. It was still good, what I remembered, but I think the favourite part for me was ending the book. So that's not the best review of it actually. So maybe it's like 2 stars for me, but yeah. We are now onto our romance, and again, I don't think I have all of them. I think there are some that I gave away to the free library because I just was not the biggest fan of what I had read. In saying that Deep End by, I've forgotten the author's name. But Deep End by the lady who wrote The Love Hypothesis, her name has completely slipped my mind. I read that and it was not the worst book in the world, if I'm being absolutely honest. It wasn't too bad, but it just wasn't my favourite. I really didn't like The Love Hypothesis, so Deep End I tried to go in with an open mind. In terms of the story, the plot itself, I quite liked. I really did like seeing the character development between the two characters and seeing their little arrangement and how they worked out. I thought was quite nice to see, but I've not really got much words to say on that one. I've not got much thoughts. Like, it was all right. Like, it was okay. It was all right. I don't know if I would class this as a romance, but Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I was not a fan of Magnolia Parks at all. I absolutely struggled to get through Magnolia Parks. It's taken me years to actually read it. It is that whole London's very own Gossip Girl, so we're just following rich kids that live in London. If you like toxicity and just foolishness and yeah, read this. If you want to see some good places it seems like to go to, read this, because I'm not gonna lie, I've got some notes on places I want to visit in London now from the book. But other than that, other than recommendations of places to go in London, I really didn't care about the book. Like, throw the book away. The ending of the book was like the most interesting to me, but I don't like that plot line because what the hell. If you want to see something toxic, read Magnolia Parks. I really don't have much to say on the book at all. Another one I actually really liked, this was Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. So we are in Ireland or Northern Ireland, I'm not sure, but we are in Ireland and I absolutely really liked this book. It really reminded me of a book that I read when I was younger called Reason to Breathe. And yeah, this one again, emotions were evoked. I felt really sad. It did make me cry. I was constantly on edge. Every time that we was in Shannon's point of view, I was on edge. I was like, like it took a little something to be able to read it. Johnny at some points I was like, oh, like really lovely, the overprotectiveness. Then at other points I just thought like, oh Johnny, please, like it's actually all right. But yeah, I think it's a very complex situation that Shannon is in, and it's sort of going through the details of that, the intricacies of it and whatnot. And yeah, I really do like the book. There's definitely trigger warnings to this, so I would definitely look into that before reading the book, of like abuse. Yeah, abuse. I think that's just it. Truly Madly Deeply by LJ Shen. I'm giving this away. I don't even think I want to see it on my shelf. I really did not enjoy the book. I was really confused why it was so long. I thought it was going to be a really short book, but it was actually quite long. I think their whole dynamic between the female main character and the male main character was just a lot going on, and yeah, again, he was horrible to her. It's just a lot. It's just a lot. Didn't enjoy. I think we are now moving on to the last of the books, if I am correct. I'll have to check my Instagram to see if I'm missing any books, but these are my beloved romance books that I adore. I adore them. And it is my girl, Elsie Silver. Oh my gosh, this is a lot. I feel like I'm carrying twins. 4 books, comparing that to twins is actually insulting. I have now read, all of the Chestnut Springs, and I am on what is this series called? I'm on the Rose Hills series, and I've started on the second book, not the first book. I loved this series. It's nice, it's spicy, it's adults, you get some age gaps in it as well. But then on top of that, what I really liked about Elsie Silver is in romance books, you know, you always have, they fall out about something and it gets dragged out for majority of the book where they're not talking, they're having problems. It was short. Whenever there was a misunderstanding, it was quickly sorted out, which I really liked because it just felt like an adult. So I liked following all the characters. Again, I think Elsie Silver is quite witty and it reflects in her writing. There was many times where I was reading where I would laugh, or there'd be certain innuendos that I just absolutely thought was hilarious, if I'm honest. But yeah, I really like her writing and I would recommend these books as well. One thing that Elsie Silver likes that I'm not the biggest fan of is that she really likes to write some kids in there or some pregnancy in there. Elsie, please. We read for escapism. I ain't no mum, but I don't want to escape into the life of being a mum. I'm child free and I want to enjoy being child free for as long as I possibly can. So I don't really want to read about people with children. I don't want to read about pregnancy because that's not what I want to escape to. However, while I say that, even when there has been kids, I have really enjoyed reading about the kids in the book. So I mean, I'm just a bit of a hypocrite. I don't know what I want from what I don't want. That is my Elsie Silver. I really like her and I'll continue to read her as long as she puts some books out. Okay, I've just checked the Insta and that is definitely all the books that I have read this year. I feel like I've read another one, but I'm gonna stick to that. That's all I read this year. That is my 30 books, I think it is. That could be wrong. If you read any of these books and you loved them, please let me know down below. Let's discuss these books. Or if there's any books based off of these that I liked that you think would also be good, let me know. I'm really excited for some books that I have on the way. I say books, not plural, singular. I have one book on the way that I'm really excited for. And yeah, I hope that next year is another great year of reading and some good titles to join the bookshelf. I hope everyone has a lovely New Year's and stay safe. Bye.